Greetings, friends. Lately I've been writing a lot in critiquing New Age spirituality. There's too much material for one video, so I've had to break it up into several videos. In this video, we'll be taking another look at Koi Fresco, or Vishuddha, as he calls himself, a self-styled spiritual explorer who specializes in self-help. I've analyzed one of his videos before regarding pantheism, but this guy is simply too much, and I just had to do another one. First, I'm going to play 75 seconds from one of his recent videos just to give people a sense for what he's like, and also because he reveals some important information about his outlook in life. But rather than dissect one of his videos, I'm going to analyze the information which he posts on Instagram. Obviously, Instagram is inherently superficial, but it's still remarkable how superficial this guy is. And I wouldn't be going after him if he didn't claim to be helping people while deriving an income from doing so. I mean, of course, there's nothing wrong with doctors, psychologists, other therapists helping people and getting paid for it. But when you're calling yourself a spiritual explorer and you haven't even reached the age of 30 yet, that's when I get a little skeptical. The pictures are pretty silly, but it's really the quotes and the captions which Koi posts which shows how dumb his advice really is. I have no ill will towards Koi. Please do not troll him. I'm simply focusing on him because he's a good example of what's wrong with New Age culture.
Greetings, my name is Vishuddha and I assist people with self-improvement and spiritual growth. But I've decided to delete myself. Now you might be wondering why I'm smiling when I say something like that, or what it even means to delete yourself. But I do think, if you can hear this and hear me out quickly, you should try deleting yourself too if you feel called to it. I'm going to be soon traveling the world doing these amazing things thanks to the success of this channel and to your guys' support. I'm going to be interviewing sadhus and babas all over the world, spending time in India, visiting Australia, going out into nature, learning from nature, playing with ayahuasca, doing all these different beautiful things to allow me to evolve, but to also provide you guys with knowledge, not just of the spiritual and self-improvement things I talk about on this channel, but also about how that exists out in the world. I've done a lot of internal work. I've went through a lot of personal trials. I've had to do a lot to kind of get to a space where I feel like I can breathe again.
Well, here's Vishuddha Das, his Instagram. What's this? Cows are friends, not food. If such a statement upsets you, good. That's what Koi has to say here. Meanwhile, there's plenty of poor Indians malnourished in the streets. But these cows gotta be fed because Hinduism, so... Even when these cows die, instead of being ruthlessly murdered, devotees will sit with them for days, sometimes weeks at a time, around the clock, chanting holy songs and repeating Krishna's name until the cow passes in peace? Are you kidding me? It's good to try to respect all creation, sure, I get it. It just seems like out of perspective. Wouldn't humans be more valuable than animals? Shouldn't they be cherished more? Because you only have so much energy and attention you can give. That's time and energy and love you could be spending on real humans. I know there's geographical reasons for it. There's other environmental reasons, probably, but what I'm criticizing is this way of explaining it as the most compassionate and the natural thing to do. It's not. It's not necessarily what we must do. So he's traveling in India. I did that when I was 22 years old. Well, I lived there volunteering for a few months. But Vishuddha Das. It's all perfect. In Varanasi, I saw young children laugh and play while just blocks away dead bodies burned on funeral pyres. That's disgusting. I saw tourists leaving clean hotel rooms while families sat homeless on their steps outside. Yeah, that's right. A lot of poverty over there. I saw exceptionally clean businessmen in brand new cars. Yup. See, this is called traveling. It's called traveling, and you see stuff and you can write it down. And it's completely generic, and this is exactly what anyone could write if they went traveling. I mean, in Asia. Obstacles don't block the path, they are the path. Not everyone will like you, not everyone will understand you either, but that's totally okay. Because we're not here to fit someone else's mold, we're here to form our own. When one discovers spirituality, it's easy to become a black sheep in your own family. Are you a black sheep in your own family, Koi? Just wondering. It's all just feel good, like hearts, like, I mean, I don't even use emoticons. Smiley faces, stars, namaste, thank you. Oh, is he dipping in the Ganges? Oh yeah, it looks like it. Filled with fecal matter and like decomposing animals, bodies, I mean, but it's a spiritual experience because it's an ancient river, so just don't swallow any of the water. Or just hope for the best. He always has the same dumb look on his face, like that gaze. Mental health for many of us is a constant battle. Is it a constant battle for you, Koi? Is Koi okay? This is the question. Is this man actually okay? I say he's not entirely okay. I know he spent a year in jail. I'm not going to look into that. I'm not trying to, really get into this guy's past, but I just can't help but wonder, because what makes a person become so superficial like this? What makes a person become this superficial? This guy must be like one of the most superficial people I've ever seen. For like a man. I mean, women are superficial. Oh, he's traveling with Crystal, so maybe they're back together. Or maybe they're kind of friends, even though I said men and women can't be friends. But Koi is an entirely different type of man. He's much more like open. Stop treating your emotions like weaknesses. They aren't. Well, everyone has emotions. Like, what are you trying to say? Stop treating your lungs like weaknesses. Your lungs are not weaknesses. It's like, yeah, that's right. They're part of me. It's like, yep, they're not weaknesses. Thanks for the insight. Oh, here's a deep insight. In this middle one here. No more distractions. 2019 is the year of self-improvement, self-liberation, and self-love. Keep that in mind. The New Agers are all about self. It's that word. And then they talk about how the self is doesn't even exist. It's like the most strange thing that they constantly entertain contradictions, vague statements about reality. Their language is so non-committal. It's like they don't want to throw any skin into the game. Like, this is what I really believe, and I take these things literally, at least a few things. Or no, maybe they do take some things literally, but they play around with language without trying to commit to any solid meaning. Get this quote. Oh man. Stop treating spirituality as a one-dimensional thing. While some people drink and party, others are sober and abstinent. But they can both have deeply spiritual practices. Oh my goodness. So are you telling me that some people are smoking cigarettes and killing beers, and they're playing pool and just having this loud, obnoxious party, just really disrespectful to the neighbors, and but whatever, even if it's not bothering anyone, they're just fucked
And and you're telling me it's like, yep, they can have a spiritual experience, like just like some guy who's like not doing that stuff, some guy who's like calmly in his house or working in his garden or whatever. It's like, yep. It's like, okay, maybe he's right, but then it's just such a vague statement. If it applies to everyone, then what's really the point of even saying it? It seems like they're saying unique things. Well, not to me, but to some people, it's gonna seem like, oh, this is really deep, but it's not, because what he's saying is repeated by any other New Ager, basically. It's really the same sort of stuff that's being said for many years now, like going on a few decades, or whenever this, since the 60s. Or they can both have deeply spiritual practices. That's very useful for you if your civilization is at odds with another civilization, isn't it, Koi? Isn't it? If the West is at odds with another culture, but it's useful that you can just from within America say, well, we can both have deeply spiritual practices. Oh, here's another interesting quote. You can't force your family to understand your path in life, so stop wasting energy. Just live your best life, and hopefully in time they will accept the life you choose. So again, is Koi like expressing some frustration about his own life here, or is he trying to give advice to others? I just gotta wonder, because it seems to me like this guy's just still dealing with some demons. And he's still a young guy, like in his mid or late 20s. From what I've seen, this is his first trip that he's gone on to India. He's still very naive about the world, but it's remarkably naive. It's like there's normal naivety, and then but what's remarkable is just to style yourself as what does he call himself? He's okay. Now it's a spiritual explorer and author. I thought he had an actual website. Oh yeah, here it is. One-on-one guidance. Vishuddha.com. This is interesting. Spiritual educator, published author, world traveler. Oh, come on, that must be new. World traveler, this must be new. So now we put that on there, so what? Many people travel. Crystal travels. It's like, okay, so she's been to 60 countries or counting or something like that. It's like, that's great. That's wonderful. That doesn't necessarily make you like an expert in anything to advise people about spirituality just because you traveled. It's irrelevant. It can give you some experiences, but it depends on the person. Other people can travel and they're just as dumb as when they set off. Okay, the Spiritual Success Webinar. A guide to balancing the material world? A workshop created for those aiming to succeed. What's the product? I thought he used to do something one-on-one. I guess he got rid of that. Oh, there was something where he was charging like one-on-one Skype sessions or something like that, where he would, give you advice, like in live to your face via the internet. And there was some price tag on that, I forget exactly. It wasn't overly expensive, but it was definitely you get to be paid for your time there. Standard rate. I don't see that option here anymore. Oh, this thing is $40, but I think it's a webinar. So okay, so you're connected, presumably by Skype or Google Hangouts or something like that. It's like, okay, so you get to have some interaction with him, kind of online. So I'm not saying that these people are making tons of money off of it. I'm just saying that, New Age is a huge industry and culture. You can make some money off of it, and in any case, you always get viewers in this sort of line of philosophy. Because it's like telling people what they want to hear, or like feel good stuff, like vague stuff. Yeah, I've been here. I stayed here in 2008, this town. Rishikesh. This is where the Beatles went. I recognize everything. Yeah, I was such a blue pill guy back then. I might have, who knows, But I would never have wanted to hang out with a guy like this. Like, I still had a good sense of humor back then. I was still chill. I think I would have been a nice person to travel with. But I was blue pill. I would like try to protect the women in our group, and then it's just they attract so much attention from the locals, and but I just don't think I could ever get along with a guy like this. Oh, this is a funny one here. Okay, Koi writes, your circle should want to see you win. Your circle should clap loudly when you have good news. If not, get a new circle. It's like, whoa. So it's like, Koi, so you tell your friends, you tell your buddies, it's like, hey, I'm going to India. And then it's like, you expect them to like clap for you? That's your expectation of your friends? That you not, like, you can tell them whatever you want that you think is a good idea. What if your friends are like, oh, okay, that's nice. But, there's no reason for them to clap for you. I mean, I can't think of any like situation when I would want my friends to clap for me. That would be awkward. And then it's like, if they don't want to do that, then you want to ditch your old friends. So I mean, I know what he's trying to kind of say. Like, if you have friends that let you down, and they're presumably not good friends, then you should ditch them. Sure, yeah, I agree with that. He's actually saying something slightly different, which is that you should have a very simplistic and unrealistic expectation, almost egotistical and self-centered expectation on other people to support you, no matter how stupid or irrelevant your life decisions are to them. It doesn't matter. Look what he says here. I see a lot of people complaining about Instagram because people aren't authentic on here. Oh, you say? If all I ever talked about was how amazingly perfect I was emotionally and mentally, why would anyone struggling internally follow that? But Koi, I wouldn't say you show yourself to be perfect, but you do show like that you're a pretty well, you put on this image of a fairly well-balanced, happy guy. Like, you're all happy in all your pictures. You implicitly are communicating that your life is in a good place. And that might not mean perfect, but it's similar. Oh, Jim Carrey's a weird guy too. It's weird that Koi thinks Jim Carrey says deep and illuminated things. Like, Jim Carrey's a weird guy, like, had a troubled childhood too. He said something, what did he say on that talk show within the last year? He's like, we need socialism. It's like, we need it. And everyone was applauding him on the show. And people who just don't want to really look at what's going on in the world, they'll fall into these like feel-good notions of like, we just need socialism. Koi's not political, but Jim Carrey said that because he knew that that's what people wanted to hear, and he believes it himself, but it was a very emotional moment.
Anyways, I don't want to bore you guys with too much dumb stuff. That's enough for now. Hasta luego, amigos.